Welcome to the Literature Lounge, where writers and authors share their stories behind their stories.
Hi, in today's episode, we have with us Dr. Shamoly Khera, a leading figure in the Indian media and TV industry. She has excelled as a TV presenter, media producer, and executive coach, and was named among the Times' most influential personalities of 2021. She's the joint managing director at One Take Media and the founder of Speak to Inspire, a coaching academy for impactful leadership and communication, a celebrated author of Bedazzle, and a four-time TEDx speaker. Dr. Khera combines a passion for performance psychology with deep understanding of modern women's journey. Today, we'll be talking about her latest book, a very interesting title, Letters to Daughters of Tomorrow. It's extremely close to my heart and delving into the insights and experiences that have shaped her remarkable career. So, welcome, Shamoly, in today's podcast. That's a very beautiful name. Before I even begin, it's a very Bengali name, Shamoly. Uh,
Thank you, Mohua. You're absolutely right. It is a Bengali name. I am Punjabi though, and when I asked my parents about the story, it's because there was this very beautiful model called Shamoly Verma around the time that I was born, and I think that's where the name stuck. They found it unique, and over time, I found out the name means greenery. So, and I haven't really met another Shamali, so I'm pretty happy. Like I've heard Shalmali and I've heard other names, but I'm very happy they stuck with this.
I love the name Shamoli. I think post the podcast we can have a full conversation about. There are some beautiful songs with this word. So let's just come back to our conversation today. What inspired you to write Letters to Daughters of Tomorrow? Tell me, Shamoli.
Well, just like you mentioned, this book and the title is very close to my heart as well. Um, at some point, I did know I want to write something for women and, kind of give a voice to some of the issues that I constantly see around us. But everything is, I mean, when you look at it online, social media has made such a joke, or everything is converted into meme when you speak about women's desires, the husband wife tonality, the girl asking for something becomes like a joke immediately online. Like either she's very demanding, or either it's like a meme on the guy saying, "Oh my God, now you're gonna have a tough time because your wife is so demanding," or whatever. So there are a lot of unbalanced conversations out there, I feel. And somewhere I think it goes back to the crux of how we are brought up as daughters in our society. And I feel before I went to talk to women, I wanted to understand the seeds of, let's say, how I grew up as a daughter, how women around me grew up as a daughter, and what translates into what you carry forward when you become a woman and you do carry some of those things with you. So around 4 years back, I came across this very disturbing statistic that we are sending apparently a lot of our girls to school. So it looks like in education ratio, a lot of girls are now going to school, but in a very weird scheme of things, the same number is not translating to women who are actually getting jobs. So a lot of women are now doing MBAs, they are getting graduation. It is not like the olden times where after 10th grade, they are not encouraged to study, or where the family chooses between the son and the daughter and they say, oh, let me spend on the son's education instead of the daughter because anyways she's going to get married. So conversations are moved forward from there. They are like, no, let's get her educated, let her get a degree. But somehow that doesn't translate into the job ratio. And it's weirdly dropping, like not the same amount of women are actually at work. And I wanted to know more about it, that why that is happening. And I think that led me to a lot of stories, a lot of startling research that was also disturbing. And I think that's where the root of the idea came from. So at some point, I didn't. So at some point, I did know that I do want to write something about the women, because I was seeing a lot of unbalanced conversations out there about women in general, be it in different dynamics, be it at work, be it in a husband-wife relationship. And while everything is converted into humor and in memes today, underlying causes are very unhealthy of why those jokes are coming up. So I wanted to understand what is the current dynamic? Why also don't we have enough women in the workforce in the leadership position? I would often go to panel discussions as a part of the media company that I run, and most often it was very common to see more men in the panels, for example, than women, or sometimes I was the only woman on the panel. And in fact, there is a term for that. When there are only men on the panel, it's called a manel. And there is a website in the US that kind of tracks manels and, calls them out that why don't you have women on it? So there is a lot of uproar already outside. I felt India has still not become a part of that conversation. So I specifically wanted to raise this conversation in context to Indian women and Indian society, because what happens in other cultures is slightly irrelevant to us, because the way womanhood is described, motherhood is described, the way women are worshipped or the way women are cultured, for example, is very different in Indian society as compared to an individualistic culture like America or the US. We have a very rich sacrificial culture, and a lot of women or daughters are brought up to a kind of glamorized sacrifice in a sense. And I wanted to deeply get into that. And that's when I came across this very weirdly disturbing statistic that though it seems like a lot of our girls are going to school and colleges and doing good higher degrees like post graduations, not all of that is translating into work. So there is some kind of dwindling or some gap where the educated women just disappear, and I think that is what kind of I found very startling, and I wanted to dive deep into that research of where are our women disappearing. That literally was the question in my mind. And when I write the preface of the book, that's literally like that's where it started. That I wanted to find out where are our daughters, our educated daughters, disappearing, and why are they not translating into the workforce. And that's where Letters to Daughters of Tomorrow was born.
Oh, phenomenal. That's so close to my heart also. Because glamorizing sacrifice is such a part and parcel of our culture that I've heard my own mother say that, oh, mummy ho gaye ho, abhi to tumhe ye to karna hi hoga.
Right.
So I agree with you, So, but what are the kind of challenges that you face as a woman in leadership, and how did you overcome them? Having been in so many positions, running your own media company, women are not taken very seriously. I often find myself, constantly like second guessing sometimes answers that I know really well, because you'll have this whole manel, who's going to make you feel that you probably don't know your subject very well. So tell me a little bit about the challenges that you may have faced, Shamali.
Well, I think in hindsight, I feel the way I was brought up has a lot to do with how I didn't think much about being a woman when I was, putting out things that I want to do, things that I desire, say in life, or while in an institution, while in a community. Because while we were growing up, both me and my younger sister were never really reminded that we are not sons or that we are not boys. So it was very obviously considered that of course you're going to study, you're going to go for higher education, you're going to be, for example, a doctor. So I did do my medicine because, for example, my parents were very passionate about having a doctor in the family, and I was genuinely good at the subject. Though after I finished my medicine, I decided to kind of switch to media. I still wanted to work, but maybe in a different field, and I was more of a media person. I wanted to be in front of the camera, I wanted to write, I wanted to tell stories. And that's where that need arose. And I think 3 years down the line, when I made the switch, when my parents saw that, okay, if she is, doing well at what she's doing, it took me a while to convince them, but I realized that it came from a good place because they wanted to see me independent. So that is how strongly they wanted to make sure that, we become independent individuals, that we are not marrying for security, or, that we don't consider those kind of associations like marriages as a form of a secured life. So we never looked at it like that because it was always ingrained in our heads that we are going to be financially independent. Um, having said that, when I would put across my point, let's say in a in a leadership position, or when you are in a room full of men, I feel it does take a lot of effort to get your point across. And I don't think it's because I put my point with lesser confidence. I think it's because people perceive me as a woman first, and then a leader, or then my role. And it took me a while to understand that perception, that it's not what I say, it's also who they are perceiving is saying that.
Yeah, yeah.
So possibly, and also I think we are just brought up as more polite individuals. We are not aggressive in the way we put our point across. And I feel over time, women do become like that, and they are called out for, being, oh, she's a bit too aggressive, or, oh, she will not listen. But I feel the society kind of then trains us to be like that, because when we are saying it polite, they don't listen. So we have to
Absolutely.
adopt other ways to kind of put our point across. And like you asked earlier, yes, there were challenges, but I feel if you are firm in the point that you want to say, also, I am a very research oriented person. Being, from a background of medicine, everything I want to put across has to come with evidence. It's not because I feel so or I think so, it's because the facts say so.
Yeah.
So I think always coming from that place made it a little easier to put my point across. So I had to really stick at it, because if there are three men with one point and one woman with a different point, you have to navigate your way to how to, get your work done or get your point across.
So let's just talk a little bit about stereotypes, right? In your book, Shamali, you've delved into the stereotypes that women face. Could you share, a stereotype that you've personally encountered, and how did you overcome it?
So I think one of the biggest stereotypes that I have also come across, and I've also seen many women friends that I have come across, is that the vocation that we choose is often considered as something that we are doing because we want to be busy. And I think that really boils my blood when that happens, because women are not associated with being the primary breadwinners of the family, though the case is changing where they are becoming equal contributors, or probably they are the leading breadwinners. The perception that comes from, oh, she's doing this because she can afford to maybe do it, or she may not really need the job, it's just a supplementary job to what, say, her father is doing, or what, say, her husband is doing. I think that perception fighting is that I'm constantly upfront of, so which comes to a lot of women when they're even asking for promotions, when they're asking for a raise. And oftentimes, I mean, the research that I've come across for the book also, if there is a man and a woman, in the same position and in the running for, a higher position, the man is first always considered for the promotion, because it is assumed that he's the breadwinner, he has a family, and he may need it more, which may not always be true. So I think having that straightforward conversation from organizations, managers, HR, is one thing where they vocalize and say, hey, we have this promotion and, that and a raise, but it will also require you to give higher hours, or, maybe more work time. Will you be able to do it? Instead of assuming that, oh, she won't be able to give higher hours because, she has a family and she's tending to them. So I think that perception needs to be fighted both ways. One is we educate the managers and organizations, and one is we educate the woman herself to speak up and to voice and be like, to vocalize her desire of, yes, of course, I want to be promoted. And if the opportunity comes, I will give the time that it needs. And, I'll be able to, I'll be able to balance my family or prioritize work and family in an equal manner, instead of assuming that let's give it to the man. So I think that's a very, very heavy stereotype that I have faced, I have fought, but I still see women fighting it at work.
I agree with you, Shamali. You're taking me back into the time when I worked in an advertising agency, and salary hikes were not even discussed, because they looked at me as somebody who was a supplementary, breadwinner, and I was not the primary person, in spite of the kind of effort and work. And another colleague who was a male was with me at the same position. His salary was way more higher than mine. And it's so humiliating because they were not willing to have this conversation with you because they do not understand as to what my salary could do, because being a single child, maybe I wanted to look after my parents, or be there for them. So yeah, I mean, I'm really hoping that over
Absolutely.
the years these things change, and we have more conversations like this, Shamali, because I quit my career and I sat at home, and of course, I mean, here I am again today. So tell me, what are the kind of practical steps women can take to overcome social conditioning? ये तो आसान है नहीं, Shamali, to break out of it, because this is so layered. Uh, let's just share with me a few steps that you can take.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Mohua. It is so layered that I was almost very stressed while writing the book because I was like, what have I gotten myself into? I don't know if I have the answers. Because day after day, I started picking up on the research, which was highly disturbing. And I was like, what is a book going to do with it? And, what can I change with just enacting the facts, or just kind of enlisting the factors? What change will it really bring? Which is why the factual research started becoming letters, because then I decided that every chapter is going to be about one such stereotype, but it's going to open with a letter to the daughter of tomorrow that, hey, this is what has happened, but this is how you can change things. So I wanted to kind of bring in that emotion of a woman or a girl, if she's reading it and if she has like this voice telling her that, listen, you need to speak up when you need something. It's important to tell you, because the society kind of will tell you that it's very impolite to interrupt the elders, or it's very impolite to speak out of turn in a discussion. But sometimes this is exactly what people around them are doing to get their point across. And because we've been conditioned to take our turn, not speak out of turn, can't interrupt the elders and stuff like that, which is great as a part of culture, but we have to understand when it will affect our personal desires.
Do you think societal readiness to embrace women's full potential has improved over the years? Do you see any change there?
I definitely see a change there. I mean, considering what we were 20 years back, I feel even when I started writing the book, a lot of pages, communities started springing up, which was supporting women, which were, supporting these really badass open women who are like very upfront, who are maybe rebelling the societal institution of marriage or having kids. And now there are a lot of such communities that have propped up, which is not about being cool as a rebellion, but it's just about supporting, a choice of a woman or an individual who, chooses the
Absolutely.
other way that than what tradition has told her. Like this whole thing of settle ho jao, shadi karke settle ho jao, is something that I see a lot of women being like, maybe that's not meant for me. And I love that that conversation has started. And, because if men don't, for example, marry and they have a good, rich lifestyle, they are like the James Bond of their lives, and they are like, wow, so cool. Like, he can do this and, have an affair every 2 years or whatever. But if a woman does that, she's just seen like this outcast. Oh, she's not a couple. Oh, she doesn't have kids. So I feel in a very encouraging manner, conversations have come out in the open where society is like, it's okay after, a certain age, she decides for herself and, she can do that. So I feel readiness is there. But I feel we are now tackling a different problem, because I call ourselves the transition generation, because women before us were not really working. They were, but that was a minority. Today, it is very much almost 50-50, or maybe more women are working. So the society is still trying to figure out how to deal with it. The mother-in-laws, the father-in-laws, the husbands, are the husbands prepared for working women? Like, they don't know how to deal with housework. Not everyone does, because they saw their mothers taking care of the house, and now they come to a house where, oh, even the wife is busy and she has emails and she has work. So he's like, oh, am I supposed to split the housework? I was not aware of that. So the good thing is that the daughters and sons tomorrow will be very well prepared, because they've
Yeah.
been part of households where it's okay for women to work, or where they know their moms have been busy with work and have sometimes missed PTAs. And of course, mom guilt is there, but it's not something that is unheard of. It's okay for, a mother to be busy or skip a PTA, and let's say the father attends it. So I feel, yes, there is some societal readiness. We've come a very, very good way, but I think a lot of work still needs to be done by this generation, like you and me, so that we kind of pave the way better for the daughters of tomorrow.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like, like I said that it's a long process. It's not going to be easy. And I often have my mother asking me this question, oh, so what's going to happen to girls? Are they not going to have children? Are they going to remain will girls not ever embrace motherhood? Because it does come with the changes. I mean, our bodies change
Yeah,
once you deliver. There is rest that you need. So, and in all of that, your career has to like take that back seat, because
yeah,
you are nurturing a body, and so many girls today are really opting to not have children any longer. And I
yeah.
really don't know at this juncture where this is going to lead all of us. So let's just talk a little bit, Shamli, about which chapter let in your book resonates the most with you personally, and why does it resonate? If you could just share a little bit there.
Sure, sure. Um, Before that, I'd like to address the point you said about, how your mother often says that, and I completely agree with her. It's a great observation. It's like she's saying it's not good or bad, but yeah, it does put people into thought that what will happen tomorrow? What if everyone starts saying, I don't want kids, and then there's not going to be another generation? But
Yeah.
I feel like you said there is a give and take. So, I mean, but I constantly go back to this amazing line that Michelle Obama once said that a woman can have it all, but maybe not at the same time, or maybe not at once, which means that if I'm choosing motherhood for the next 1 or 2 years, yes, I will have to, let's say, balance or park my career for a while, or choose a hybrid situation, choose a company that kind of gives me those liberties to take a maternity leave at my convenience, and trusts me for being able to come back to work when I'm ready, and that I can work from home while tending to my kid. And I do see a lot of organizations doing that because they also don't want to lose that woman talent. And I have a daughter myself, and I remember when I took a break, it was a very welcome break because I was like kind of done with the media lights. I was like, oh, I don't want to put on makeup for a few days. I don't want to wear heels. I'm very happy with this break. Like, I wanted to be in a cave, cocoon from the world, just like, in that little family bubble. And but that didn't last long. It was just 4 months, and I was like, I'm missing work. I need to go, and I need to leave the house and go back to, just have this energy of leaving home for work and coming back to a house after a productive, satisfied day. And I think that became common. So now my daughter knows that she may have work, she may have late night shoots, or is she there over the weekend? Let me plan, a day together where all of us are spending time together. My husband is more understanding of um, the time that we all spend outside at work, and, the time that we spend with family. So everyone, I think, has to tailor their own lives around what they feel is right. But my point here is that the woman should have the choice to do that. If she thinks no kids, it's fine. If she thinks yes, kids at my time, it's fine. And the problem earlier was that she didn't even have a choice. It was considered that she needs to do it, get married, have one child. Oh, you're done. Okay, have a second child, and it's just like a machine. So now I like the fact that we are speaking about her having a choice. Speaking about my favorite chapter, I have the book right here. It's called Letters to Daughters of Tomorrow. And
Please read.
let me,
Probably read one part that you'd really like, that is close to your heart. It'll be
hmm,
wonderful.
okay, let me just, which one can I do? Okay, Stop Chasing Perfection. This one is called. Okay. Dear daughters, I know it might feel like you need to stand tall every day. I know your heels hurt. I know your corset might be too tight, or you might still be asked to hold your breath. They prod you every day to wear the right foundation. They bombard your feet with brightening products or suggest clothes that will make your body look a certain way. Maybe taller, thinner, or something else that must have been defined by unrealistic beauty standards. There will be days when you doubt your looks or wonder how you're being perceived. I know there'll be days when you will not want to think about people's opinion and just want to be you. And you know what? Let me be the one to remind you. Please take that day off. Stop wanting to be perfect every single day.
Oh
So
my. Oh my.
it
That's
starts with
beautiful.
that,
Yeah,
it
really, really
starts
nice.
with
It
that,
touches me in so many levels because you know what? we are always so imperfect in our heads, even in spite of, having it all. And what is that all also is so debatable, but this perfection that has been, shoved down our throat is what we are constantly like running after. Yeah, this was beautiful. This was my next question, but you read that, read my mind, because I wanted to ask you about the pressure to be perfect. And that's
Yeah,
so beautiful, because these are things that, nobody told me that you can take a break, on days when it used to be
yeah,
so challenging, and I remember, especially after I, became a mother, and you look at your body and you say, oh my God, you don't recognize the body anymore. Just that entire change and the shift, and mentally you start feeling so, so gone. And these are
yeah,
things that have not been addressed, so, Shamali, many people argue that women need to adopt masculine traits to succeed in a male dominated field. And, there's so much of debate about how women, especially that women are called aggressive and men are called assertive. And which is true, because, I was also at a very leading position in an advertising agency, and I was very goal oriented and very, very ambitious. And so I was called aggressive very easily. And yet, in the same light, somebody else who wanted their work done, who was male, would be called assertive. So, what do you think are the masculine traits, Shamli, that you think could be needed for a woman to succeed as the years go ahead, and the daughters of tomorrow will keep going into a new world where this entire gender line is getting blurred, and there is a fact that we are different from men, right? So tell me, Shamali, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, so much needs to change about this thought itself. This whole idea of women wanting to adopt or thinking that adopting masculine traits will help them climb up the higher ladder needs to be slashed. But while we are educating the women, we also need to educate the men because, for example, the number one quality that women rank over is also empathy, which men sometimes lack. But an empathetic leader goes much, much longer than what a non empathetic leader would. And we often highlight the cold qualities of a leader, which is often associated with being an assertive man. And when we call a woman who knows her mind aggressive, is because we are used to softer women around us. We are used to more feminine voices around us. We are used to women putting, other people's needs and desires above their own. And I think that the point of calling them aggressive comes from that mindset because in their mind they're like, I was not expecting a woman to be like that or a woman to talk to me like that. If you were a man and putting your point across, you would be seen as assertive, or he knows his mind, or he has clarity and he knows exactly what he wants. They paint it in a very, very positive light. So I think all these things are very, very disturbing. The line that who wears the pants, in the house, or who wears the pants even in the boardroom. Why does it have to be pants? I mean, I am seeing women in media, in, leadership positions in India, they're wearing a sari and, a blouse, and they are out there, and they don't need to be really in executive suits. And I remember questioning myself because I think a few years back I was invited to a panel discussion and I was really excited to shop for a pantsuit, a very smart pantsuit. And I was like, I'll do it in color, like a purple or something, because men can't do color, right? They'll be stuck to blacks and grays. And I was like, I'll add my own feminine touch to it. And I'm buying this amazing like Zara pantsuit with like a blazer and pant. And it got me thinking, I was like, why did I choose a pantsuit? I mean, generally I do end up wearing Western clothes, but my mind opened up when I was seeing confident women in sari on a panel. Now, in my mind, association of women in sari is my relatives, my moms, the women in probably my extended family that are not seen as women in power. And I realized that association is so subtle and so like childhood related that I didn't even know how these concepts came in my mind. And this is someone who's been questioning everything. So I was like, how can I even blame anyone else who has come up with these concepts, or who is conditioned or subconsciously thinking of these things. So I was like, maybe by the time I cross 40, 45, I'm going to be one of those women wearing fab in their saris and, with a big bindi. I'm like going to embrace my feminine hood. I don't think I'm there yet because I normally I just find like saris very time consuming and all of that. So I'm just being very practical about that decision. But I think coming back to the masculine traits and feminine traits, there was this research that spoke about when you visualize a leader, why don't you just draw a silhouette of that? And 90% of those people drew like a man's silhouette. And that was annoying. And that is like, why can't it be a she? Because in our mind, a leader is seen as someone who's like in power, who is, a male energy. And I think that is the crux of everything that needs to change. We need to have more women in power. They don't need to be masculine as such or adopt any masculine traits, but they just need to be able to voice their thoughts when they want to be more assertive or put their point across. Because there was another research that said that in a room, if you ask a question, in a room full of men and women, the men, even if they half know the answer or they want to guess, they'll go like this. They'll immediately put up their hand. But if the woman is even 95% sure, but she is still not fully sure, she will wait, she'll wait for her answer to be perfect, or she'll be like, I'll just have this discussion one to one. I don't want to raise my hand or whatever. But this mindset is something that needs to change. It's okay if you're wrong. Again, this comes from our need to be perfect, that we want to speak when we are perfect and we don't want to be wrong publicly. It could become a joke. Men don't think so much. Men just say it and then they happen to be right sometimes. And then that works. They play along with it. They don't overthink. So I think things like that. In fact, when I was writing the chapter for, the raising hands thing, and my daughter came across next to my laptop and she's like, what is this? What is this? Raise your hands. And she was 5 or 6 when I was writing it. And I said, so I was like, should I explain it to her? Because she was around 6, and I was like, you know what? Let me just try explaining to her and see. Because it is called Letters to Daughters of Tomorrow. She's telling me, Mama, it's for daughters, so you need to explain to me. So I was like, okay, you're right there. But so I told her about this research that they noticed that, more men put up their hands. Do you see that in your class? And she looks at me with this eureka moment and she's like, Mama, actually, that's true. The boys do put up their hands more often.
My God.
I was like, what? And this is a class of like 6-year-olds. And I was like, why don't you all not do it? She's like, no, we answer if the teacher tells our name, we answer. So which means that unless we are not singled out or pointed to, we tend to keep our opinions to ourselves. Now, again, it's double education. One is you educate the managers and the leaders in the room that make the women speak. But how many of them are we going to educate? So I feel it's better to educate the women and tell them just speak and raise your hand and, just put yourself out there when you have a point to say.
Amazing, amazing. Wow. That's so insightful because I never even thought that inside a classroom. Because I went into an all girls school all my life. My parents insisted that I would be safer in an all girls school. And so did not know these
Wow.
things. Yeah. So being recognized among the Times most influential personalities in 2021 must have been such a huge honor. So, how did this recognition influence your career? And let's talk a little bit about your personal life. I mean, did your friends, because I think a success with women also is such a double-edged, sword. There are many friends that you lose the minute you are successful. Unlike men, they will attract a lot more people who will come around them, and women tend to lose a lot of friends. And this is, I think, for the first time I'm articulating this in today's podcast because I have seen that with my own life, that the minute the recognitions came and till the time I was sweet and complying and, I was not kind of having too much of an opinion that bothered people. I was so sweet and acceptable. The day my life started changing with my work, I found friends with whom I really, broke bread and, had my wine and had my coffees, suddenly had so much of opinions about me. And, so I would really like to hear this from you, Shamali. How did, of course, it's a huge honor, and not everybody can take honor for a woman, embracing her fully. Did you face any of these situations?
Well, recognition for me, I feel is like, the commas in your life story. Like, I feel it's a nice moment to kind of take a moment and pause and reflect on, what you've achieved so far, have that sense of gratitude for that moment. But then I do want to move on because there is also some level of pressure that, now that I've earned it, I have to also live up to it. And am I living up to the honor that I've been given? So I think I remember you also saying this at the awards that it was not a woman only awards. It was a gender neutral award ceremony. And in that to have this honor as, the emerging author of the year, I was feeling heightened because of that, because I said you had a choice to give it to a man, but you chose to give it to me. So I really appreciate that call. So it felt great. You are right, it is lonely at the top. Uh, I feel like you rightly said, I think 10 years back when I was, dabbling into the industry, when you're in the media, you just come with doe-eyed little eyes and you're this, sweet little girl and very curious. The way people approach you is absolutely different. They have like a great condescending way of speaking to you, always wanting to give you advice and being like, this is what you should do. With years, obviously, you know what needs to be done. And I think a girl who knows her mind or a woman who knows her mind is intimidating to people around, especially men. And it's not like they don't like such women, but yeah, they feel if अगर इसको मेरी advice की जरूरत नहीं तो मेरा काम ही क्या है? Men love like kind of
They want to
handing
control.
that out. They want to control, they want to feel like they have some level of control in your life
Yeah,
strategy and all of that.
yeah,
And if you
yeah.
already know, then they kind of feel a little like damsel in distress तो है नहीं तो अब हमारा क्या काम. So uh, I think over time I've learned that. So, but I am very, because I've also been an interviewer and a presenter, I generally have a very curious tone to conversations. So even if I know what I am doing in my life, I would still love to know what, let's say, this XYZ person is doing, how he's doing it, how he's battling the, struggles and challenges of his life. So that always keeps the conversation going. I feel one thing that I have been actively working on last few years is having a much more bonded women community, because I feel when women kind of step into marriage, motherhood, and then we are also trying to figure out career and all of that, we just kind of become separate ways. It's not because we don't look out for each other, but we are just so consumed within our own struggles that we don't reach out so much. And I have figured, or I've been mindful now that, there are months that go by and I have not, for example, spoken to this one friend, or she has not spoken to me. It's two ways, right? And even women that you come across in various situations, like let's say now you, I find, for example, very inspiring. I do want to make a mental note to be like, we must be in touch and we must kind of see how we can maybe help each other out professionally at, in our times of career. This is something that boys do really well. And they do it. They network at the drop of a hat. They don't overthink it. I think women overthink a lot about, oh, what will she think? Should I do this? Should I drop a message? Maybe let me think over it. And by the time the boat is gone, and I see this with my husband. I see this with men in general. They are the brohood or the bromance is something that I feel we should kind of
Yeah.
imbibe in our career aspects. Like
Yeah.
girls, I think have great friendships.
Oh, yes.
They stand by each other. Yeah, they are like therapists to each other. But I feel career wise, we need to figure a way to kind of push each other in our own little aspects of even recommending, let's say, a woman entrepreneur, recommending a small home business owner run by a woman. I think these small things really, really push forward. For example, now when I had a shoot about 10 days back, I needed 3 DOPs. And just male applications kept coming. And I said, come on, there's got to be a woman. There's got to be a woman who does the work of a DOP, because I've been talking so much about it. And because I am now at the position where I'm employing people, I want to be like, there's the balance. So we got two DOPs, and then the third one, I finally found one female DOP, and I was like, listen, I want you. I want this balance. We like, I knew in my heart that there's got to be a woman who knows how to handle camera and, be interested. It is just so cool.
Mine
Like,
is very imbalanced, Shamoli. I have more women. So the men feel very, very like, sidelined because there are only few men and more women in my team.
oh,
And I love it.
no. As long as the woman is busy doing some
Yes.
leadership task somewhere else, managing her own team, I think I'm fine by that. But yes, this is something that I think we need to be mindful about.
Of course, Shamali, I need to ask you a very, very pertinent question that in your book is a collection of letters. Now, if you were to write a letter to your younger self, what advice would you give her?
I think I tell her don't overthink and take the risks, because I think I have always been a very like I'm more like the FD kind of person than go crazy over stock market. I'm always like, let's play conservative. Let's like take one, like let's also because I remember even when I was evaluating once getting into the media. It's an open story, right? Like if you're in the media, you can do anything. I could join as a news presenter on news channel. I could be a television presenter on, a Bollywood channel interviewing celebrities, or I could be an actor. I could be on the other side, anything. And I remember I was doing theater, and with actors, I think being an actor is more of a risk than being a TV presenter. I chose TV presenter because it's got a more structured thing. I was like, I don't have this patience of auditioning for years and going for that. So I feel I also overthought. I am seeing now actors who started out with me 10 years back are finally arriving. Again, I feel in hindsight, even if I was more risk taker, I wouldn't probably, go that way. But I still feel a lot of overthinkingness has happened. A lot of like, because you're like this one fish in this big ocean trying to figure which way to go because there's so many directions. And I feel maybe talking more to mentors and seniors, that finding out what lives are like for them. That is something that I did. I feel I could have done that more. Probably that would be the letter. Don't overthink, just do it. Don't take 5 weeks to take one decision. Like I think I kill myself over like one my little decision. I play out all the scenarios, and I think sometimes time is of essence. So we should probably be go with our gut.
Amazing, amazing. I mean, for me, if I were to write a letter for my younger self, I would say that I wish I had learned to say no more than what I still do. And I still have difficulty in saying no, but I am now slowly learning to say, no, no, I don't like this and I will not do it.
Where do you think that stems from, this thing of not being able to say no?
Because I was raised in a home where I was supposed to be a good girl, and good girl meant complying with everything that was, around me, and my work is a lot where I also want to talk about patriarchy in women. And in spite of having really I have educated parents, and both my father and my mother read a lot, did theater, and they loved literature, but there was still many layers of patriarchy that I embodied along with them. And so she always said that,
Absolutely.
cross your legs and sit down. If by mistake, your undergarments show and, you're a bad girl. And we were I mean, I grew up at times when even today I have problems in drying my underwear, my knickers outside. I still dry it inside my bathroom.
Yeah, it's all here. It's all here.
It is so, and and your
Yeah.
neighbors, because I grew up in Delhi, and neighbor, you'll have, Uncle Chopra and Uncle Banerjee's, these huge underpants that are like blowing away in the air, but auntie's
And
bra,
they care.
don't give a
And
shit.
the aunties are drying it for them and they don't care. Like
Yeah,
the most
and
annoying
aunties are drying.
checkered boxers that are not even
Yeah,
aesthetic, and we might have Victoria's Secret and
yeah.
still it's a secret. Like
Yeah,
they're making
it's
sure no
always a
one sees
secret.
it.
And her bra would be always hidden under the sari with the clip so that, the bra is not taken
Oh,
away by
good.
somebody.
Oh my
Grew up
God.
with that,
No.
I grew up during those times. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm now learning. My God, it's been such a long journey, Shamali, for me now to say
Imagine.
that I don't like this. Wo don't like
Imagine.
that
And if they're
definition, wo nahi.
exactly. Exactly. Imagine like for women like you and me who've come where we've come, and we are still fighting those battles of what we learned or what was ingrained within
Yes.
as kids. Uh, Imagine for people who came from less open houses, or from more conservative houses, from houses where the woman was not even, educated or allowed to take a professional education. So it bugs me to be like, I didn't have any childhood trauma and still I'm like trying to, get over so many things. So it is the thing you said, in fact, about saying no is there in the book, because it came across in a lot of conversations with a lot of women, because we again are, we don't want to hurt people, we want to be polite, and somehow I don't know why we take the onus of how everyone around us is feeling, and
Yeah.
which is where it becomes about how he deals with this problem or with your no is his story. That's his growth. He needs to figure how to deal with your no or your dislike, but you need to put it out there. And I think when I learned that, when I imbibed that his reaction is his growth and his story, I think that was liberating. And I said, I don't like it, or I don't think I think that really helps.
Shamali, these were golden words for me also, as you just now said. That for the other person to accept your no is their personal growth and nothing to do with you. I repeat it
Yeah.
once again, that accepting no, Shamali, please say that again.
Um, I would say that for the other person to deal with your reaction of saying no is that person's personal growth and personal story, and it is something that he has to deal with, not you. So you must voice out your no, your dislikes, your likes, so that you're liberated from it, because you said it right now. How he deals with it is his problem.
Thank you so much, Shamli, for being on today's podcast. The last question that I have with you is that what do you hope young women in particular will take away from Letters to Daughters of Tomorrow?
Well, so much. I mean, I've written this with so much hope that all the things that I'm learning now in my, in my late 30s, that I've been trying to put together, finally feeling like this confident woman that let's say I wanted to be since, my 20s. I finally feel like I can see myself the woman that I envisioned to be. But it came with a lot of pitfalls. It came with a lot of self-learning, with a lot of obstacles. This is I want to put this out as a quick guide of this is what has happened. So it also talks about gratitude, where I have mentioned about times where women didn't even step out to study. And today we are, we are going out to study. So there must be that level of gratitude that we have had these opportunities, and that we are honoring that. But also the choice of working, also the choice of being financially independent. I think that is one thing that I feel very strongly about, because I feel that most of a woman's decision after she gets married stems from her insecurity of, if I leave this troubled household, could be the husband, could be the kids, who's going to take care of me and my kids. And I feel if you're in control of your own life, you have your own house, you have, your finances sorted, you are not dependent on anyone else for living. And it is such a powerful position to be in life, because see, you will make mistakes. It's not always that the first partner you end up being with is correct. The first career may not be right. You will maybe switch later. But the power of choice is something that each woman should have. And I feel that's what I want her to go with after this book.
Thank you, Shamali, for being on today's podcast. And the book, once again, for our listeners, is Letters to Daughters of Tomorrow. And this was the amazing Shamoly Khera on an absolutely candid conversation with the Mohua Show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mahua. I had a fabulous time. I've been speaking about the book now since over 2-3 weeks since it's been out. And this was one of the more stimulating, interesting conversations I've had. And like I said earlier, I would love to, propagate this conversation forward with you online and offline. And thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.